septic designs, but we certainly could go through, how about the meeting, minutes of the meetings? Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that, Dick. Yeah, I looked at that briefly. That's fine. That's fine.
And I was good with that, Colleen, too. So that's approved. Bill and I both approved that.
Okay.
We've got Colleen's timesheet, which is the normal 70 hours, although you've got, in this one, you've got a holiday is one of the 7 hours, and then you've got, looks like 11 and a half hours for sick time. Are you okay with this one, Bill?
Yeah, that's good. That's fine.
I am too, Colleen, so that's approved. The money turnover is a total of $1,505. That's for Board of Health permits are $835. Licenses, $20. Board of Health fees, $650, and that's it, totaling the $1,505. Are you okay with that one, Bill?
Yeah, that's good.
I am too, Colleen.
You got Lee's inspections too. We're up with my timesheet. That goes to payroll. His.
Oh, okay. Let me.
Yeah, I'm looking at those right now.
On bills. Yeah, let me look at that. Let me pull it. Oh, the other thing, Colleen, have you reached out to Herb to make sure that he gets his inspections in?
Oh, I never thought of Herb. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so we still got a couple weeks, but not even a couple weeks, but please reach out to him.
Yeah, he needs everything by the end of July, which is next week. Oh, geez. All right. I will get on that tomorrow. I'll call Herb and see if he's got anything, if he can get it in right away.
Okay. So, yeah, because it would be terrible to have him miss out when we didn't let him know.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know why that just totally escaped me because Bill's here now and I just, wasn't thinking about that.
So Lee's is 76 inspections at $2,660. He's got mileage of 382 for $152.80. It looks like it's covered from, the January 6th through June 30th. So it's about 6 months worth of inspections. Are you okay with this one?
Yeah, I looked at it. It's fine. That's fine, Dick. I approve.
Colleen, I'm fine with that too. So
okay.
both the mileage and the inspections.
Okay.
I've got Lynn is on the next one on bills payable, huh? Okay, so on bills payable, we've got Lee's inspection at $152.80, the mileage. WB Mason for the chair at $104.89. Lynn's inspections at $1,890. Lynn's mileage is $97.22, totaling $2,244.91. Are you okay with that, Bill?
Yeah, I'm looking at Lynn's. Her total amount due on mine is $1,987.22.
Yeah, she clumped her mileage and her inspections together, but it has to be broken out separately for the accounts it comes out of.
Okay.
So if you total the 1,890 and the 9722, that comes out that number. But you have it broken out into two line items because they're two separate accounting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. That's fine. That's fine.
I am too, Colleen.
Okay.
So that's approved by both of us.
Okay.
The next one I don't have, and that was the well permit for 79 West Street. I couldn't find that.
That's Toth, right, Dick?
No, that's, Syrup on West Street. Lee.
Oh,
I know
West Street, West Street. Okay.
I know Lee was there and talked to them, so.
Is there a permit? Have you seen it? Have you seen the permit, Colleen?
Oh, yes, did I send it? I thought it was in the grouping, no?
I didn't, I couldn't find it, but maybe I didn't look well enough. Bill,
Yeah,
did you?
actually, he submitted this like way back, and then, I think they needed more information, whatever, and then Lee was out there and said it was fine, so then I thought it was in with the stuff, but I don't.
So why don't we come back to that when Lee comes in? 'Cause I don't know what it's like. And Bill, do you know anything about it?
I know nothing about that. 79 West Street, is that next to the cemetery?
Colleen, I think it is, right? It's Tower of Suburbs, right?
Yeah,
Right.
actually, I know. I think I know where the house is. I think I know where the house is. Okay.
So we'll just wait. Temporary food permit for Friends of Granby Vets. That's on August 27th. Are we okay with that at Dufresne's? Are we okay with that, Bill?
Yeah, I think so. So they're going to use the same water distribution approach that we used at Charter Day?
Well, Lynn will have to inspect this one.
Okay.
Colleen, so Lynn has to do that before this gets signed off, and she okays it. So we okay it, Bill, and Lynn has to make sure it's safe. That, because I don't think they're anywhere near the size of the operation as Charter Day.
Yeah, Mike Pandora signed off on their behalf.
Yeah.
So he should know what's going on.
Yeah, and Mike is been staying with this, even though he's moved out of town, and he is definitely up on those regulations.
Okay, good.
I'm okay with that. Are you?
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's fine.
So we're both okay with that one, Colleen.
Okay.
The next one is, this one is a complete septic service. That's an installer's permit, Mercier Drive, Belchertown. Is this a renewal, or is this a change of home?
Yeah, that's a renewal. He has his haulers right now, and he just applied for his installers. But he's had it for, I think it's Dave Kibbe.
Okay.
Yeah, he's had it many times before.
There's a name Jason LaFleur on the application.
Oh yeah, it's those two together, Jason and
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if they're renewals, Bill, we let them go and that don't have them come back in.
That's fine.
Are you? I'm okay with that too, Colleen.
Yeah.
So that's approved by the two of us.
Okay.
The sign off on Mish's lot. So that's for, she's already got the septic design is done. This is just the sign off on the building permit, right, Colleen?
Yes, she wants to start building.
Yeah. So all that she was waiting for was the well sign off, and it looked to me like it was fine. Did you look at it, Bill?
I did. Look good. A little high iron, but what else is new in town? No, everything's good. No coliform, so we're good.
Okay. Colleen, Bill and I are both okay with signing off on that one for Mish. The next one is disposal. It's a permit for a D-box and tank replacement at 122. Go ahead.
That was the one that Lee had to go back out on, or had to go out on, so.
Okay, and so he did that? Actually, I'm gonna ask Neil. Neil is now on with us. Neil, at 122, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. At 122 Amherst Road, we didn't approve that because Lee was gonna go out and look at that. Was that done?
Yes, it was, yep.
So we're all set with that. Lee,
he concurred that we should put the septic tank and D-box in and then monitor it so something will actually make the leaching facility. Because right now, nothing was making it out there, so.
Okay. Are you okay with this, Bill?
Yeah, I'm good. Hi, Neil. Hi, Paul.
I am also, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay.
Certificate of compliance for 13 Pine Brook. This is just basically it's your as-built, Neil.
Yep.
And so it went in the way I hate to be doing this stuff without Lee being here. Let's just come back to that one so that the well sign off for the building permit for 81 Pleasant Street. I looked at it's like the same water bill as Mish's. Are you okay with that one, Phil?
81 Pleasant. You know, the funny thing is, did you look at the heavy metals in that, Dick?
I did.
There's a touch of lead, and you know, I'm speculating. At one time, there were 3 gas stations within 500 feet of that facility.
It could be, you know, you had, lead tetraethyl or something.
That's right. That's right. That's in the olden days. But again, it's not super high. I don't think it triggers anything, but the water's fine there now.
Yeah. So I'm okay with that too, Colleen.
Okay.
I guess we're going to have to go and Neil, we didn't discuss yours at 46 North Street. I did send out, you probably got it.
I did,
I'm in a position right now, it used to be that I would give a recommendation at what we should be doing at these meetings, but it looks like now on open meeting law regulations, I can't give my opinion. I can only write down what is being proposed. In this case, yours have 7 items that stopped us from completing the review and closing on it. And my recommendation, Bill, is that we move this to the next meeting. That we're not ready. I have not finished doing the design review on this one. Neil, are you okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have time to address it. I do have it addressed now, so I could get you a plan by tomorrow. But again, it was obviously I didn't have it for the meeting, so.
Okay. Bill, do you agree that we should just defer this to the next meeting?
Yeah, of course, I'm going to recuse myself on the voting because of the fact that I have a business relationship with Mr. Campagna. However, I don't oppose us continuing this until the next meeting, Dick.
Yeah, so we're just continuing it.
Let's just continue it.
We haven't made a decision on it, we just continue it.
Okay.
The next one, we're too early and Alan isn't here. I can tell you what Alan proposed. This is a 3-bedroom house. It's a repair for a new septic tank and a D-box. When I talked to Alan about it, my concern is he is taking the old tank out and he's pumping and crushing and removing, but his drawing does not say to compact. So I talked to him about compacting the soil because his building sewer is going right through the excavation of the old tank. And he's had no problem changing that. The design is for his particular design is calling out for a 1,500 gallon, he shows a concrete tank, 2-compartment tank with no outlet filters. It's got risers, new distribution box. There's a mistake that I didn't take out. I said pump, there's no pump. And to break and remove the existing tank. The SAS and the septic tank, a separation of the wells and wetlands are greater than 100 feet. And as I noted, that we're missing the trench permit note and the compaction note on this design. Bill, do you have? I know that Paul has sent things around. Bill, you've talked about using the plastic tank. My concern is you've got an engineering design that's submitted, and if we want to do something different, it's not the Board of Health that does that. However, he does not, on this design, Alan has said that it needs to be a tank that complies with Title V regulations. And certainly if Paul is looking to put a plastic tank, there are plastic tanks that comply with the Title V regulations.
You know, one thing, Dick, if I can interject, is, Paul, I trust you're still in favor of the polyethylene tank?
Yeah. I've had both the installer, Keith Bradway, out here and the tank supply company out here. And a piece of information that is critical, I think, to this discussion is that when this house was built, and we bought it built back in '89, and built pretty close to the lot line. And
I saw that.
Slopes down very steeply to my neighbor's house. And this house originally was a modular. I'm speculating that the guys that built it put the tank in before they dropped the house on the foundation.
Yeah.
When they tried to get back here when they were building this, a truck rolled over down the slope into the neighbor's yard. They have to bring in a crane to get the truck out through the neighbor's yard. So I'm quite concerned as the homeowner with the liability for directing somebody to go back there with an excavator carrying a very heavy concrete tank.
Right.
And so, you know, I've looked into the plastic tanks myself in detail online and talked to some folks, and I've grown more comfortable with them as I've done more research.
Only thing, Paul, that I do stress, and I know Dick and I and you are aware of this, Alan has to provide buoyancy calculations if he's going to use a plastic tank. And if the buoyancy calculations warrant, he's got to provide some sort of anchorage. There's many ways to do it. There's a bunch of ways to do it.
As the homeowner and with some limited background in this issue, I wouldn't allow the tank to be installed without concrete anchorage. I just think if we're going to the effort to do this, it's a conservative engineering approach that, you know, the folks that I worked with for 35 years would always anchor it.
Okay. And again, if you go to the Infiltrator website, they have a little video, a how-to YouTube style video, and they show you how to do the concrete anchorage and the straps and all that sort of thing. And I trust Alan's is going to look at that as well. And you're
Yeah,
doing
Yeah,
your
and
contractor.
but it's gotta come from Alan. We've got
That's right.
a
He's
design.
the engineer. He's the engineer of record. He's got
Oh,
to
absolutely.
provide.
And Alan's scheduled to join us. He knows of this meeting. So, and
Okay.
obviously I'll defer to him as the engineer and the guy stamping drawings. I did speak with the tank supply company and they said they have a standard spec for the anchors and the cable system.
Good.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So we
Good.
can, it's not Alan's time yet anyway, so we can
Right.
just, in another 7 minutes or so, we'll see what Alan's got. So we should, well, the next part we can't do very well either because they're the Title V inspection reports that Lee is the guy that the one that witnessed all of these things. So we can start moving to some of the others, but I hate to do it. Bill, I don't know which ones of these you're going to end up in conflict with, but let's try to go through them. But that one of them is probably pretty simple. The clean watershed program that we asked for help on, that Paul Hogan would like to come to one of our meetings to talk about, what he's looking for from us. Colleen, he indicates that he's going to be looking for some information. It seems like it's appropriate for us to find out what he's looking for before he shows up at a meeting, because the meeting's going to be useless. We're going to end up, and he gave him a pretty long list of things that he's interested in, including, shared systems and it looks like sewers and wells, and it's a pretty broad view. It looked to me like it's something that the Pioneer Valley Planning would be involved with, but it seems to me that we ought to get his list and do our best shot at giving them information before we all sit here and have them say, oh, this is what I need. I don't know what you think, Bill.
No. What's the name of the organization, Dick?
Colleen, do you have that?
Is it the Connecticut Valley Watershed Council or is it another group?
I don't have this. I don't think I have this stuff in front of me tonight, but thought it was a DEP thing, but I don't know. I'll have to get back to you.
Yeah, because I'm just curious what he could actually want from us that he couldn't get for himself online.
Yeah, so that's what it seems like. Bill is saying the same thing that I'm saying. Let's start off with a list of the things he wants, and then let's give him the appointment to come in. And it would be, I think, a lot more helpful for us to just talk about the things that we couldn't get covered as compared with everything. We'll spend 2 hours going through this.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll tell him you need more information on what he's looking for.
Yeah, we gotta have a focused discussion, or otherwise we're just going to be spinning our wheels, wasting time.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's that one. I see Alan is here. Lee may be here. I don't think so. So Alan, what just came up is on 142 Carver Street. We're going to try not to go through the whole discussion again. It really came down to that Paul would really, really like to use a plastic tank in there. What Bill and I had talked about is that if it complies with Title V requirements and everybody knows that putting a a light little tank down and a bunch of fill that could fill with water is, we'd like to keep it below the ground. And so do you have issues with complying with the request of the homeowner to switch it to a plastic tank, and everybody realizes that we need ballast and to handle the thing? And we've said it's not Bill's job or Paul's job or my job, that it's not our purview to be approving that kind of change. It's your world. And can you satisfy the desires of Paul?
I made it very clear, I think, to you and to Lee in previous discussions, and to the homeowner. Look, I prefer concrete tank, of course. I would accept a poly tank, and it is in the code. I think that we've crossed this bridge in the sense that we've made it very clear that concrete is probably a better tank, but if he prefer poly, that can be done. It doesn't help him down the road if other things happen and he has to have more work done in the backyard. But I guess that's the risk he's taking. So.
Okay, so that it sounds like that's pretty clear that you'll just resubmit this thing and with the ballast, and actually when
And
you
the
look at
ballast
this,
calculations as well.
yeah, when you look at this thing and
Well,
put a plastic tank in the ground and a bunch of fill and really pervious material, and with local increases in water table right in that little basin that you built, that's coming up if you don't weight it down.
So there is the standard ballast that comes with, which would be 2 blocks and a cable on either side. I think I mentioned this to you on the phone, Dick, and that would be about 8,000 pounds. But in order to do calculations that are meaningful, I'd have a soil evaluation where the tank hole is.
Well, if you can,
How about if you do this, Al? How about if you assume the water table is at the ground surface and run those numbers and see what that gives you? That's a very conservative approach.
that's what I was just going to say, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even appropriate though, because it's not even close to the real situation there.
Well, like Dick says, it might be if you have a localized fill area of pervious material and it takes a snow melt in March. You might actually, the other thing is, common sense says don't pump your septic tank when the backyard is flooded. That's common sense. But again, you don't know when that's going to happen. But again, I think if you assume water table at ground surface, Alan, you're going to come up with a design which might be slightly more conservative than their standard design. The question is, Paul, what's their standard design based on? Is it the water table 2 feet down, 4 feet down, 6 feet down? Do we know what that number is?
I don't.
I'm going to come back to my original statement though. If you end up with a very, very pervious hole in an area that's not equal permeability, you can definitely get a spot that says, gee, we know for 6 hours or 12 hours or 24 hours, it may be filled up. Because I've seen it in perk holes. It comes right up to the surface. So if that's the case, Bill, your answer is the right one, that instead of playing with 8,000 pounds of ballast, you have to run with 12,000 pounds of ballast, or 11,000 when you subtract out the tank.
Right.
But
Conservative approach.
yeah.
So I can proceed with that, and then what? Present it to your next meeting, or I prefer to dig a hole there and do a soil evaluation and have data that's realistic and not fiction. But
Well, then I'm gonna ask you to do the calculations to say where's the water going, what's the permeability on the side, what's the rain rate, where does the rain go, and and to prove that that's not going to fill up. And there's going to be a lot more engineering there.
Yeah, let's not do hydrogeology. Let's just do the simple conservative approach. Very simple. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and it gets Paul exactly what he wants. It's just that, well, maybe not exactly, but he ends up paying for, another 4,000 pounds of concrete. But at least we all know once it goes down in the ground, it's in the ground staying there.
Agreed.
You can think about it, Alan, and
No,
see what.
That's fine. No, that's fine. He wants to put 12,000 pounds of ballast on it. It's a done deal. I would say if you could approve it tonight with a poly tank with 12,000 pounds of ballast, which is the equivalent weight of a concrete 2-chamber tank, I'm fine with that.
How are you with that, Bill?
Well,
I just got into this thing, guys.
yeah,
I'm sorry I'm late. I got hung up at work.
Hold on for 1 second here.
Well, 1,500 times 8 pounds gets you the 12,000. So that's
That's right. That's what I was just double checking. It's exactly right. Yeah, that's fine.
The standard 1,500 from underground supply is 12,800 pounds.
Okay, that's fine.
So
we're discounting any shearing resistance between the soil and the side of the tank. We're discounting any overburden. That's a very conservative approach.
That's right.
12,000
We're
pounds.
just saying, do the thing, put
Yeah.
the concrete in there. We're done with it tonight. We do it just as we approve Alan's design with the requirement that he put the note in for the trench permit, that he put the note in that the soil in the existing tank hole is compacted, and that he modified the existing the tank design to a compliant plastic. I'm calling it plastic because he could use fiberglass too, with 12,000 pounds of ballast. That's what we would, and that way when Alan submits that, it's approved. We've approved it just now. Is that what we're all saying here?
Yeah, I think that's good. And of course, 12,000 pounds is 3 cubic yards of concrete, however you want to divvy that up. So I think that works, Dick.
So I just want to kind of reiterate what was just stated. Are we moving towards approving this tonight?
Yes, that's what we would do.
Great.
So what we've approved it with asking Alan to make changes on the drawing, but we've approved the changes just now. So we're set.
Thank you. We're good,
Okay.
guys. Al, Paul, good to see you guys. Good luck.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Next. Yeah. Next one, Lee, we're going back to well permit at 79 West Street from Connecticut Valley Artesian Well. I didn't get a copy of the permit. It didn't sound like Bill got a copy of it. Are we set to approve that permit, Lee? Colleen thought you went.
Yes, that's Ron Harrop's piece down by the
Cemetery.
borders of cemetery. But I was
Yeah.
over there. I met with Ron on site. He showed me where the raised and the land was as far as the tank and the D-box goes. The leach lines are heading out towards Mr. Scully's property, and we're 100 plus away from that in the opposite direction. We should be perfect as far as that site goes.
So are the three of us okay with that permit? I am. How about you, Bill?
Yeah, Lee, just a quick question. And Dick, is this a replacement well or is this a new construction well?
Replace.
Oh, it is. I'm just curious, what happened to his old well?
I think what he's got now is a point which just simply doesn't suffice with his current needs.
Okay.
Doesn't draw enough for him.
I gotcha. Okay. And again, being close to the cemetery, it's probably a good thing to have a deep well anyway.
Yeah, it's very sandy soil, as you know, in that area.
Yeah. Okay. I approve. Very good. Thank you.
Okay, I did too, Colleen, so that's all three
Okay.
of us did that. I thought I had another one, but I guess we didn't when Neil showed up. That was the 13 Pine Brook.
Yeah, the 13 Pine Brook.
Neil was here, Lee, and he said, oh, he didn't say you looked at that one. He said that it went in according to his design, but he did not say you looked at the 13 Pine Brook. Are we okay with that?
If I'm not mistaken, is that the old desktop property Greg Everson installed?
No, that's a different one, isn't it, Colleen?
Yeah, there's a desktop on the laundry
Yes,
list.
that is. You're right.
Yeah, 13 Pine Brook is desktop.
Restaurant. That's correct.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Everything was installed according to the print. I found no issues at all on that site.
Okay. Colleen, then we can, and Bill, you're all set with that too?
Yep, we're
I
good.
am too. So all three of us. We've had 4 Title V inspections. We've got 418 Miller Street. I'm going to do these as a group if Lee says they're okay. 418 Miller Street, Alan Weiss fails. 28 Bags Hill Road, Alan Weiss passes. 185 Bachelor Street, Greg Everson passes. 258 Amher Street, Neil Jackson passes. Lee, are we okay with all of those?
Yes, thank you.
Bill, are you okay with that?
Yep.
But I am.
They were all passes?
No, the first one wasn't. The 418 Miller Street was a fail.
Oh, okay, that's the one Al Weiss did, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, well,
Yes.
good. Yeah, I'm just curious, what was the proximate cause of failure? Was it high water in the D box?
I don't have it. I didn't print that one out.
Okay, that's no worries. If Alan were here, I would ask him. I'm just curious as to just finding out why these things are failing. Okay, again, it's probably an old system.
I think this is a really old system.
Yeah. I'm just curious whether it was a plug system or if the water table is just up. I'm just curious what prompted that. Anyway, that's fine. Very good. We're good.
So we're all good on all of those, all three of us, Colleen.
Okay.
Lee, we approved the minutes. We talked about this Paul Hogan from Clean Watershed, telling him that he should send us what he needs for information and before we make an appointment with him so that we can get a shot at making it a reasonable meeting. And as we go through the items that I have, Bill, you sent out a note saying that Eversource is planning on changing their clear cutting on power lines from 125 feet to 200 feet.
Yes.
Do we have any issues with that? That's a big change.
Oh, well, I know. Dick, are you not in a butter to that line?
Not to that one, but
Okay.
I've got one that's not being used that was taken out, and it's all forested now, but they certainly could come along and say, by the way, we're going to go 100 feet on each side of this baby.
Well, see, that's, on conservation, I suspect we're going to have a lot of folks in town that are going to be really upset when they go out there with their chainsaws and start widening these paths.
my question would be, why don't they tell us what the impact, and just instead of just going through and saying we're going to do this every place at 200 feet, what is it? Different power lines should require different clearances in my mind.
I think they're just looking at system reliability.
Yeah.
It's a reliability. Now, here's the other problem, Dick. If they're going to clear cut, they're probably going to use herbicides too.
Yeah.
So that means we'll have herbicides potentially sprayed closer to people's wells.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of little hidden details to this project.
Yeah. It would seem to me that it would be reasonable for us to say, we would like to know on each power line that you're going to change in our town, we would like to see the justification for each one of them and what the plan is and how many people it's affecting.
Well, they've already changed out all the big transmission lines. Those are all done. And now they're just going to enhance the clear cut around the new transmission line set.
Right. And then,
you know, my neighbor across the street, Danny Smeagol, his brother, Ronnie, owns the furniture shop. And poor Ronnie, they cut a bunch of ornamental trees in their backyard as part of this repole setting. And of course, now if they're going to have to go another 37.5 feet on either side of that right of way, they're going to be cutting the shrubs in his front yard, for crying out loud. It's absurd.
So do we want to send Eversource a letter, a registered letter saying we would like to know the justification on a line by line basis for the work they're going to do in our town? And it should be, they include how many wells and how many parcels that are being dwellings are affected by this.
I think that would be reasonable, Dick. And Colleen, just for your benefit, I do have an email contact of one of the people from Eversource, which we've been working with on conservation. So when you send out the registered letter, you might follow up with an email to this particular individual, and I'll provide that info for you.
Okay.
Lee,
And they've been pretty good. They've been pretty good with us.
Lee, are you okay with that approach?
Oh, absolutely. My concern, which you and Bill touched on, is the herbicide use in relationship to the drinking wells of our neighbors in town, which could be negatively impacted by this project. I would hope there would be some leeway in what they use, when and where going forward. That's a gigantic increase in cutting. I guess that they can do what they want, and they must own all the property. The chemical application could be detrimental to a lot of people in town.
You know, guys, Lee and Bill, I just realized that you guys, Bill, you just asked me a question about, was I a butter? I've got an easement through my property. I've got there is, as I said, it's a forest. There are no lines. There's nothing by me. I don't think this affects me at all, but I think I've got to withdraw my vote on this one. You guys have to, although we didn't vote on anything, we didn't tell them they can't do it. All we did is say we're going to send a letter. So we haven't made a decision. So it probably, I'm probably not in conflict, but let's just say I am potentially in conflict. I'm disclosing it, and you guys decide whether there's going to be a letter sent or not me.
Okay, well, I think Lee's already illustrated his point. I agree. I think a letter should be sent to Eversource, again, as good neighbors, and I'm sure they're going to work with us on this. But again, we're watching out for the townspeople, and again, the herbicide application, and, well, again, conservation matters are a little bit different, but on the BOH end of it, it's herbicides and potential contamination. So I think we should send this letter out. Lee?
Yeah, for sure. And we haven't touched upon, but maybe we will as we get into the conversation. There could be some concerns of storm runoff as well going forward, among other issues. But at least those two come to mind right away: the herbicide and the potential runoff onto people's property.
Yeah. Now, my understanding is. No, go ahead, Lee. I'm sorry.
No, for sure that letter needs to go out in some context, at least to start with.
Okay. If you go online, guys, you can find there's an environmental impact statement which has been filed by Eversource. I think they're in their beginning stages. I think they're in their comment window. So we got to get this in ASAP. I forget exactly what the comment window is, but getting this in sooner rather than later, I think, is imperative.
Okay, maybe if Colleen has a chance, it can go out over the next couple of days prior to the weekend, and at least that way our concerns are voiced and they get a record of it, and we can prepare for the upcoming debate. Okay.
In fact, what I can do is I don't like to do cross-disciplinary stuff, but I think we should on this one. I'll send you some literature from some conservation conversations, Colleen, which will highlight and give you some info as to where to proceed on this, okay?
Okay, good.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, that could be really beneficial, Bill, going forward with a combination of the Board of Health and Conservation keeping an eye on the future project coming at us. Absolutely.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Lee. Thank you.
Okay, next one is I'm going to put it in new business. Kathy Kelly Reagan has sent Colleen a couple different emails requesting how the board feels. Now, the letter was someone Levakis, I think, is I can't read my writing. Colleen, that they were looking for our opinion on hybrid meetings. I'm just wondering if, to save us a lot of work, we just send a simple letter saying the board has been an active advocate for the continuation of the remote readings, and we're enclosing a copy of the letter that we distributed. What do you think, Bill and Lee, about that?
Yeah. Dick, getting back to the letter we sent a few weeks ago, I think that letter you sent out made a lot of traction around the state. You won't know, that really got widely distributed, both on Colleen's end and on Janice's end on the Conservation Commission. I think that was a real good thing for us to do. And I agree, whatever you guys want to do going forward regarding commentary, that would be fine. But again, I think we are strong advocates going forward. The question I had is the March 2023 date or the December 23 date. Are we good for 12 or whatever it is, or are we good for 18 months, Colleen? Do you know which one is correct?
Yeah, that's a good question, Bill. I'm not sure because both dates kind of come up, and they said the governor was going to sign off. Now, on that one, it said the March date, but then they also, wanted it to go to December. So I'm not really clear on.
Okay, yeah. One was the House bill, Dick, and one was the Senate bill.
I would get in touch with the Attorney General's office and say, what is it that we're dealing with here? And we'll get the answer right from the person that's going to enforce it.
Good idea.
That's what it said on the Attorney General's site was that the governor was going to sign it and it mentioned the March date. But, you know.
Yeah, so if you get back to the Attorney General's office and said, we want to know what it is, and then.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can do that. Then next, so we will send a letter to the person that requested what we feel about now they said hybrid and we didn't say hybrid. We said continuation of the full remote meetings. And just say to that person, here's a copy of the letter that we widely distributed. So that should give this person an idea of how the Board of Health feels. So the next thing that I have is I was waiting for Brian O'Toole to get back to me on Dollar General. And what Brian said is, please, as a board, do not jump into telling someone you're going to shut them down for having water in 2 ponds. And as he indicated, he said, you could be very hard pressed to link the operation of Dollar General with the water in the pond. And he said, if in fact it's an engineering design problem, Dollar General or the people that own the building may in fact not be a part of the problem, that it is they in fact tried to do the right thing. And in fact, they hired, what was it, Ajax to do the work. And his suggestion, that's Brian O'Toole, said as long as, I think his name is Tyler Avery, that you'd have to look it up, Colleen, but he works for Ajax. And he said,
right.
Gee, if you need any more help, please get in touch with me. So if what Brian was feeling is if we think that this is a design problem and it's an engineering issue, and we've already got a contractor who is an agent of Dollar General who's also said this thing isn't designed right, that we should be dealing with them first as compared with going after and attacking them. Let them be an active participant with us to get this solved. So that's what and Brian said it's been a while since he offered, and he said I would get on that pretty quickly. He said his suggestion is get in touch with Tyler and ask him if he could come to, remotely to one of our meetings and let us talk to him about it and see if we can come up with some kind of a plan. So Lee and Bill, what are your thoughts?
I agree. It's a good approach. That's the thing, Dick. I think Dollar General is simply a tenant. And I think there's a company, Lascotti Development. There's a person there's a corporation that owns the building. There's a site manager. There's a whole tree of companies involved with that whole operation. But I think Dollar General is no more than a tenant at this point.
Well, that's what Brian said is that if they were setting this up for one of their clients, they would absolutely be doing that. That they would set up shell companies to.
That's right. That's right.
A main company from a problem like this.
Yep, exactly right. That's why they do it, of course.
Lee, what are your thoughts? Do you want to try this?
No, you guys are absolutely correct. I'm glad that the town attorney got back to you about this because we would have shot ourselves in the foot. We had proceeded with our initial plan, so this is all good news. And besides, if we don't work with these guys hand in hand, we're never going to get this thing solved. So it may take a bit longer, but this is probably the only way to go.
Yeah. I'm leaving I think the worst one to last, but Colleen just sent out a notice that three organizations, we got Alphabet Soup, Hillside, I don't know whether that's Hillside Apartments or whatever, but Hillside something, and also Dollar General, all ended up with coliform in their water in the last test.
Ooh.
And no E. coli, but water. And it's interesting, all of the water was tested by Quabbin Analytical. So, and when you look at the previous tests, all three of them were absent with the coliform. So I guess they're public water supplies, and the state is just doing this and sending it to us as information. I don't think we need to take the lead, but I certainly would be suspicious that something funny, out of control kind of, not funny, not right, went on, but that a mistake or something could have happened at Quabbin Analytical that did these results. But certainly a normal way, if I were doing this at work, I'd be doing a retest, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm looking at I'm looking at the dates. One of them was on 6/28. They weren't all on the same day. That's what I was looking for.
No, they weren't.
Yeah. But you're right, Dick. The simple thing to do right off the bat is retest. That's all. That's the first thing we do.
Yeah. But
Don't
I
get
think
excited.
it's not ours to be doing. This is a public water supply, and the state does it. So I'm just saying that to us, so we're aware of it.
Okay.
The next one, that's the last one on my list, is adopting regulations and the procedures for it. We just happen to we're carrying it as water testing, but Bill, I think you brought it up at previous meetings. We've got, I don't know how many regulations, 15, 20 regulations that may in fact not have been, that some are so old that the current way of registering it has changed. It's not what we did. And I wonder if it's worthwhile to go after the whole bunch of them, to have Colleen make a list of all the regulations she knows of and go through and add to it, and then follow this procedure. Colleen submitted a procedure that looks like it's very much what the state says you're supposed to do, and get these things all. Yeah.
We've done that in the past.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's excellent. These 9 points are excellent, Colleen. Thanks for digging these up.
Sure.
But is there a way for you to look to see how many of the ones we have actually were handled this way, or the other way to deal? Go ahead.
I think, if I recall right, some have like the dates they were published. I know I've seen it before on some of the regulations. At the bottom it'll say published on these dates, and so I assume that is, that procedure was followed.
But we may not have registered them the way they're supposed to be registered, and I think the valid point that Bill made is, if you end up with a regulation that's not registered properly, we're going to end up with an invalid regulation. If some lawyer decides to sue us and say, hey, you guys can't say that March and April are when you're doing water tables. And
that's a good point, Dick. The only thing is, if we take, say, 15 or 20 regs and all do them at once, and a lot of people attend, and we have a lot of pushback, boy, we're going to be busy for the next year. We're going to be real busy. that's why I'm wondering, maybe we should just try to do a couple piecemeal, see how they go. And if they go smoothly, then we'll consider taking some of the older regs and recertifying them, if you will. Again, I'm just thinking out loud here.
I can understand.
Yeah. But you're right though, Dick. If people, there's motivation for people to oppose the March and April water table viewing periods. There's a lot of motivation for people to oppose that, I would think, particularly the developers.
Yeah. But again, all that we get testimony, we can do what we want. After listening to the testimony, we still can make up our mind. But
okay,
maybe we have Colleen make a list of what we have.
Okay.
And then break them out the way, maybe we have some septic ones that we do. Maybe we break it out to say, we're going to do Title V inspections. Maybe that's what we go after and say, okay, there's actually 5 of those in a Title V inspection. It's going to be that you have to notify the Board of Health. You have to pump the tank at the time of the inspection. You have to, whatever it is that we go through, and maybe the Board of Health has to send a letter out, whatever it is that we have, and just say, okay, there's 5 things we're going to deal with Title V inspection, and use that as the trial balloon.
Okay. I'd be in favor of that.
Yeah,
What do you
that would be
think,
reasonable.
England? Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good starting point for sure.
Yeah, I don't know that that's the one, but just choose one that one probably isn't a nasty one to try to go through, because it's something that we do. And
Right, and it'll take more struggle, I think, to get through the water sampling aspect when we get to that point. In lieu of changes in personnel at the local shop, but it has to be, we got to kick that around at some point, sooner rather than later.
So, Colleen, if you could give us a shot at just look at what the regulations that that we have. You don't have to group them. We just get a list of them, and we'll add to them, and then we'll break them down into the way we want to go after them.
Because I know there for sure are some that I have the newspaper. I recall when I was here before doing this, but have the newspaper and everything, so I know some were, but the older ones, yes, I don't know. So I'll go through and try to get a list. Yes.
And then we can go through it and see where it heads us. But I am very concerned with what Bill has said, that we end up going to court someplace, and if someone says, hey, you're thrown out because of a procedural issue.
Yes, that's exactly right. Yep.
So,
right.
Of particular note, Dick, the proposed subdivision up Munsing Ridge, the Munsing Ridge Phase 2, have you done any perks at all up there?
It's probably now 20 years, 15 or 20 years that we were up on the top. So Title V regulations have changed, that for sure we've gone from not being able to use the B horizon to being able to use it. And so up there are a lot of places that there's not a lot of soil, and those could be very, very different.
Oh, yeah.
Again,
there's a 76 lot subdivision on paper that Don Frederick had prepared 5 years ago. It's kind of in limbo, but at some point that's going to go forward, that project. That's Phase 2 of Munsing Ridge. Yeah. And as you say, there's a ton of lots which probably are going to go away because of high bedrock, but they might be the folks that might want to argue, oh, we want to pour water in August after a drought, and you can't stop. But so if we can cement the March and April criterion, that will protect us.
That's right.
Okay. So it's important we do this.
Good point, Bill.
Yeah.
Especially a subdivision of that size could get some New York or Boston money. Really try to muscle this thing through.
Right. Right. There's some tough terrain up there, I'll tell you.
But you're right. But if you look at those houses and look at the rocks that are in the front of those houses and say, my wife and I will drive through there and say, who in their right mind would like to be moving those rocks around?
I remember one guy, I think it's the second house from the end on the left. I had to redesign his foundation and pick his house up 10 feet because the house was too low. Boy, what a mess. Okay, anyway, good enough.
So what else did people have? That finishes my list. Just that I did call Colleen this past week. I went out for just so Bill, you and Lee know. I did go out to the landfill the day after the fire. It looks like there was, I don't know, 11 to 13 acres involved. It was limited to the mound of the landfill. It didn't go off the mound. It was very, very fast moving. It looked like it looked like about, not completely melted, but damaged 4 of the methane wells. Looks like it did not go into the ground. And it turns out that the firefighters had a really hard time with it, with the wind. They had 40-mile-an-hour winds up there, and that the heavy rains that occurred that afternoon absolutely put the fire out. So they definitely lucked out. They didn't use any foam on the ground or any chemicals on the ground, just water. And it looks like no trash burned, no refuse. So it really was a brush fire, and looks like not something that should be making people afraid.
You know, Dick, if they didn't have that rainstorm, that could have gone all the way to Morgan Street, I would suspect.
I know.
Wow.
And they said what happened to them is they didn't understand why the wind shifted, but it went from really strong southwest to pretty strong southeast, so that the smoke ended up at 5 Corners.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I didn't get any smoke at all at my house. I smelled nothing at my house.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So it looks like it wasn't an environmental problem other than the actual brush fire. That when I looked at the soil definitely was carbon on the surface. And as I talked to the manager, I said, what you're going to have to be doing, at least in the short term, is figuring out how you're going to handle erosion. But what was interesting is even with all of that rain, erosion was not evident. So that whatever was left, whether the root system or whatever, held that soil all in place, and it was heavy rain. So anyways, that's where that fire went. And if people are asking, what happened, it didn't damage the generator, the natural gas turbine that's down there, and if it is a turbine, and maybe it's a recip, but Bill, you thought it was a turbine.
Yeah, I think it's a small turbine. I think it's a 950 kilowatt turbine. It's a good sized turbine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyways,
is Waste Management still actively managing the landfill, or did they send that off to a third party?
No, it's Waste Management.
Oh, it is?
That's doing it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well,
definitely Waste Management.
Well, they lived up to their post-closure promise, I guess, so good for them. It's been
Yeah.
20 years. That's been closed over 20 years now, Dick. Is that correct?
Yes, it probably is.
And I think the closure bond was good, for what, 30 years there?
I think it was 50 that it finally ended up with.
Oh,
I'm not
okay.
sure. It turns
Okay.
out that the state ends up changing things on them anyways. But they're still, what they told me is they're still getting 400 CFM of methane out of that. So it's still active.
Wow.
Not as fast as it was before, but it's still decaying.
Yeah. Do you ever get the settlement readings for the elevation, the settlement rate?
We used to get those. I have not seen those. Colleen, since you've been back, have you seen anything? What Bill is talking about is that we used to get drawings that showed the elevations of the landfill. And it shows what it started at and what it is now, and it tells how it's settling. But I haven't seen, they're thick packages when you get them.
Everything that I've been getting is electronic, so I may have something in the file that comes in electronically. I'll send them to you.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. I would be interested in that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
they used to send out a packet that was about 4 inches thick.
I have a lot of those, upstairs.
Well, it must be all the monitoring wells and this data and that data, of course.
Yeah, in fact, that's how they found the contamination of the well on Morgan Street is through that data.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
So are we about done?
I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
Lee,
Okay,
are
folks.
you set?
I am, thank you, yes.
And I am too. So I guess that's seconded and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.